We'll be back from that particular break now. It's time for us to get into the motivation and inspirational moment whereby we get to inspire a business mind and also motivate one who is trying to venture into a certain business with the business tips and the business quote.
And for now, we're going to kickstart it with a business tip coming your way, and make sure you learn from it, listen from it, take your emotions on it, think about it, and think on how it is actually going to help you as of today. And it's highlighting keep financial score. Few small businesses have an accurate idea. Let us take it again. Few small businesses have an accurate idea of the daily, weekly and monthly numbers and financial trends taking place within the organizations. It's vital that you spend the necessary time keeping current on cash flow. If you lack financial skills, hire an accountant, but still stay very much in the loop. So this in the loop is highlighting for you that even when you've hired someone to do some work for you that you do not know, can you be very close? How sure are you going to make that particular expert you call an expert that you have hired to help you out with those financial services, to help you out with that ledger, to help you out balance your ledger books, balance your accounts, count for you the money? Do you know there are people who don't know to money count, to count money, cash?
No, there are many, but they know how to save it. More so if you're working.
How can you save the money you don't count?
You see, the best way to learn how to count money is to start making it. Regardless of how your level of education, there is something special about money. I still don't know. That at a moment in time,
I also don't know.
When
that's a joke.
When someone, you see, if you ever want to know the power of money, just put someone in, just go to a trader community, let's say Chikuwo. That is when you understand people know money. Regardless of their education, someone may not have the technique, like you said, of counting the money. But at least he knows, if I give you 20,000 and you buy something of 5,000, my balance is 15. Kati, you bring 10,000. Now you will see problems.
Do you know, Joram, so there are people making sums of money at the end of the day, but they do not count that money. They have hired a Joram. A Rita doesn't know to count, so you sit down there and you're counting money.
No, to help them.
Their work is they have been entrepreneurs. They have established a firm. It's there. An organization is standing. A business is there, but they are not handing the cash. You know, it's not coming to them, but they be there counting the money as you're counting the money. But to avoid all that, because that comes again with a risk. Or even when you're counting money, I know there are people who have got. Do you know even when you look, your eyes, your sight is onto that milk you're boiling, a mere blink.
True.
A mere blink, you can lose. You just see it evaporating and it's pouring down. But you've been there. So you can imagine, even when you have someone that you trust that is there to count your finances, that is there to count and balance for you those books, there is a time, or not even a time, they're actually doing something that you do not know at the end of the day. So what I'm advising is that there are systems created. That is why you need to embrace digitalization and technology that come along, financial technology. There are systems that are there to help you do that by yourself. How about you just learn to use that machine counter? You've been to the banks, to the tellers that, counts money. You know your business does a lot of income at the end of the day. Why don't you buy that machine and just put the money there? That's when even you know whether this is fake or not, because otherwise you're not going to keep track of that. So financial literacy at the end of the day is going to help you keep in the loop. As we're speaking about keeping in the loop, not only you're going to just be there to trust people. And what more can I say about keeping your financial scores? We have got trends that are happening, but sometimes people don't know, Joram, to keep a keen look of the trends that are happening. You establish something, naye chimana nechikuitako nga tomanyi.
Well, by the way, reason being is sometimes with the trend, it's actually very, very possible. Why? Because every time you miss information, and with this particular era, every time you miss information in just 10, let's say 1 hour, let's give it an hour, where trends tend to change within no time. So once you miss information within 1 hour, that has left you. The only thing you're going to do is seek for information from people, and you'll not get it directly. Everyone has different ways of giving you information.
I remember
The way
our
they
teacher
understand
tried
it
it in class one day, whereby he whispered for the first person. You could try it at home too as well.
Once
If
it
you are in
reaches the
extended
last
fa-
person,
it was definitely different.
So everyone understands information differently, and once someone understands information differently, believe me, the answer to the final person is going to be different as well, because every time it reaches another user, it changes meaning. Why? He understands it differently. Now, once he's delivering the message, regardless of whether he's delivering it the way it was sent to him, he will deliver it the way he understood it, and the other person will also pick it the way he has understood it.
And deliver it to the next person
Exactly.
according
So
to how he
the
understands it.
now the chain changes. By the time we reach the only situation whereby you will only remain with one keyword,
Money.
maybe it can actually be,
If it has money
if it
in
has
it.
money in it, it would be the only
Same.
keyword there, but the difference, how it is supposed to be framed, will have changed. So information is quite difficult to actually convey. But with the business tip, now let's take a look at our business quote of the day to inspire you more and motivate you. And this one is coming in from Oprah Winfrey, who's one of the most successful broadcasters that we do have in the world. She says, "Don't worry about being successful, but do work. Don't worry about being successful, but work. But work toward being significant, and the success will naturally flow. Don't worry about being successful, but work toward being significant, and the success will naturally flow."
Don't worry about being successful at work. So I shouldn't worry if I'm not
No.
being successful when I'm
Yes.
working.
She's
Then why
actually
should I be
saying,
working
she
if I
actually says
shouldn't
work
be
significantly.
concerned?
Because you see, when you work yearning for success, once you don't see success coming in with your effort, you tend to, to backslide, thinking your efforts are not being recognized at the end of the day. You feel like you need to achieve this, but you're not achieving it because you have to succeed. It is in your mind.
And
You
that is
feel-
the
yes,
every
exactly.
day you wake up, you're going
So
to
every
do
time
something.
you receive something that is actually a sign of a failure, you feel like you're down. So, but when you're working just significantly to make change in an environment, in the long run, your success is coming for you. Now, this
You
time
could
around,
say that, but there are
success comes
situations that
chasing for you.
come when even when I'm not there, but someone is bringing it to me. Someone is bringing the downfall on me, and even when it's not coming from me,
Then
there
you do
are
your
people
part.
like that.
Me, I do believe you have to do your part, regardless.
Okay.
I've been told everyone has to do their part. You do your part. But the only challenge is if you go off track and you forget the part you're supposed to do, then that means once someone
Do you
just
know
comes and
this
hits
saying where they say, I'm going to say it straight, I don't know how, I think it's in Luganda, in my language as well. Omuli w'embwa ali omu n'alumisa w'ekyalo. Is it?
nalumisa ow'ekyalo.
No, not
navu-
n'alumisa.
nakola ki?
Omuli- Okay,
Kiringa-
in
okay.
my language, omuli w'embwa akabombo
Yes.
n'alumisa ekyalo. Like, it's one person doing wrong, but
The
the
entire.
entire. So what you're telling me is like, you're telling me do your part. Yes, I might do my part, but trust me, if it's an entity, if something goes wrong, I'm going to be reflected back. It's going to get reflected back individually at
It
some
is.
point.
But when you
'Cause
look at,
if Joram, you're doing something that is not good, and I'm doing good, okay. I'm doing bad, you're doing good. Definitely, we're going to be categorized
as a
you know,
whole.
Yes.
That is very true. But when you look at the situation about life, one thing I understood about life is at a moment in time, there will always be the rightful person. Regardless of whether you're in the same area and they would say, "Oli kaya ali embwa ne bagamba babali embwa." There will always be that one person who will come out and people will still say, naye gw'ova eri mu kyalo ky'abatalyambwa nga togirya, you get. So in such a situation, so people will, first of all, for you, will be working.
How accurate was that? That
people,
was,
so
I felt like that was accuracy.
So people will come out and say, okay. Now people will be looking at you and they're like, oh, why is he different? Because they've got the other mentality. But if you also sit down and forget to show the difference,
okay, and then there is this that is maybe in the zeal of, because we have seen situations, there are people who have seen situations whereby people are working towards hard to beat them so that they can stand back in that particular position. Do you know about that? Do you know some people work hard to make sure a certain, to make sure a Rita goes away and they stand back there?
Yes.
And how can you fight that as you're working that? How do you know? Because these are all shadows that you do not see. Meanwhile, as the quote is telling me, you do not have to mind about the success at some point, but there are shadows that are there that I do not see. How do I go by that?
You know, there is it is actually on, if it's a scale of a percentage, in most organization or in most areas, key scenarios is that in a circumstance where someone wants you out of your place, someone wants you out of the place where you're in, 80% of the chances are he can't do what you're doing. But they want you out of there. Now, if someone comes out and says, I want Rita out of there, they're not going to do what you do. But they have that character in them, they want you out.
You mean it's just a character?
In most cases, it's just a character. You know, when someone is naturally good-hearted or welcoming, it's nature.
It is always supportive.
It is supportive. There are people who are always supportive. Then there are people who are always, oba mukozechi, ngwala, ikonde. So clearly, in most of the areas, that is why I will tell you, 80% of people who want you out of your place may not be able to achieve what you can do. Okay. But because they want to show a statement, that story what so clearly, but that is the life we live in.
Are you saying that to me directly over?
No, you know, every time I've seen that on people's statuses every time, that every time you try to do something, remember
and now we enter into one of SMB reports away from the business tip. Let us dive through what happens in production annually, include community water reservoirs and mine